A hot, beautiful morning at the circuit, Marco Simoncelli. We had a brilliant GT4 European Series race yesterday, and if the second one is even half as good, we're in for a real treat. And we had a first-time winner in NM Racing Team. Last year they fielded Ginettas, this year they've moved to Mercedes, and they came away with victory, but there was heartache for other parties at the front end of the field who will be looking to settle the score today. For yesterday's results, it was Luc Ibanez and Javier Loveras winning the event for NM Racing Team, but it was super tight at the end. Gabriele Piana worked his way up the order, and he'd taken victory in the first two races at Imola, came away with second place in the RN Vision STS BMW. At third place, Nikolai Muller right in the mix in the Porsche Cayman, showing great manufacturer diversity at the top. And today, a run of aquamarine coloured cars coming down the back straight. That's the Borissan Automotive BMW, is one of the two Allied Racing Porsche Caymans. Of course, we've got multi-class racing, we've got the Pro-Am class and the AM as well in the mix. And if the racing is half as good as yesterday's, then it's going to be very, very exciting indeed. But the car that should have won the event was number 27 yesterday, one of the two AGS events, Aston Martin's, and Valentin Hasclo had just taken over from his teammate when suddenly something went wrong. The car stopped, he got it going again, but it was over and out. So Aston Martin have a score to settle, that is for sure, because they had the race under control, but it's only over at the end. The race is 1 hour long, and there's going to be plenty of incident of that, you can be sure. But looking at the smiles on the face of Javier Loveras and his teammate Luc Ibanez yesterday, the Neil Montserrat's team, they were very, very pleased, not just to be running at the front, to be taking the checkered flag at the very front of the queue. And the car that challenged them most strongly, it's the aquamarine and yellow liveried BMW, running third in that group of cars. RN Vision STS, Baz Schouten, one of the drivers, Gabriele Piana is the other, but of course we flip around. The driver who started first on Saturday starts second today, so it's the Italian Piana who will be going for gold in the first part of the race. Bob Herbert, top runner yesterday in the AM class, one of three Mercedes AMGs entered by the Salazar Racing Team, and he mixed it with the Pro-Am runners at the front of the field, so he's in for a treat if he can drive as well as that today. Another car that went very well was the V8 Racing Chevrolet Camaro. That's starting fifth today in the hands of Europanger. And that makes a most fabulous roar. The Dutch V8 Racing Team has been running cars with large V8s for a very long time, really popular on the national scene, but it's been great to have their metallic blue cars over the past handful of years out to play in the GT4 European Series. Certainly right now, Europanger is giving it a real wrench around to get some heat into those front tyres. All drivers, of course, focus on that very short blast down to turn number 1, which feeds immediately into number 2 and blink later into turn number 3. And many, many place changes over the years here at Misano. When you look under the starting gantry, there's another little bridge beyond, a pedestrian bridge over the top, and then the first corner turns to the right very soon after that. So certainly not much of a chance for cars to get a drag from arrival on the run up to the first corner. It's all about positioning. Do you dare go up the inside? Do you dare go around the outside? Because the outside becomes the inside as turn 1 feeds almost immediately into turn 2. So many things to think of. In the middle of the picture, you can see one of the two Toyota Supras, new to GT4 racing this year, looking very good indeed. But I must say, Valentin Hasclo came away yesterday very disappointed, but he was sitting on a comfortable lead when he had that dreadful moment of driver experiences where the car just suddenly stops working, and he's trying to work out why it almost pulled to a halt. Did pull to a halt, he got it going again, but by then simply too late and tumbled down the order. Nikolai Muller right at the sharp end, third in the race yesterday, leading Pro-Am combination with Jörg Wiebahn, and he's again starting well. He's starting from 4th on the grid this morning. Gabriele Piana is alongside him, but on the front row, on pole position, the NM Racing Team, Neil Montserrat's team from Spain, 2 Spanish drivers, and they are looking very, very well balanced pairing. Let's go down to the grid. Talked about Nikolai Muller. He's down on the grid, and Gemma has caught up with him. Let's hear what he has to say.
Nikolai, do I understand that you drove yesterday with a diamond ring in your pocket?
Yeah, my team engineer, or my engineer in the radio had the ring, and then I asked her through the radio. So yeah, it was only planned if we won, so luckily we won, so we could make it.
So fantastic, congratulations. I assume she said yes.
Yeah, but that was why I did it in the car, because if she said no, I could just pull out the radio. No, she said yes, and everything is fine.
Fantastic. So what surprises have you got to pull out the bag today? You've got a bit of traffic ahead of you to get into the first corner.
Yeah, but we're starting first in the class, so I just need to survive the start and then go with the silver cars to make a big gap, and then hopefully Jörg can hold it so we can do a double win.
Well, the car was certainly performing very well yesterday, as were yourself and Jörg.
Huh?
The car and yourself and Jörg were certainly performing very well yesterday.
Yeah, the car is really good. The team did an amazing job, and I feel confident. So, yeah, now we need another win, and then everybody's happy.
Well, have a great race. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Plans are plenty there for Nikolai Muller. Thank goodness his engineer, his wife-to-be now, said yes. So today he can concentrate on trying to win the Pro-Am class, but knowing him, he'll want to go even further up the order. He's starting fourth. Gabriele Piana, a driver on massive form last year, this year as well. 2 wins and a second place is his tally so far. He's starting third today. Yesterday he was somewhat further back down the grid and still got up to second place. So looking very, very positive indeed. Behind him you can see the V8 Racing Camaro and the second of the Allied Racing Porsches, because behind Nikolai Muller is his teammate Bastian Buus. But this is a car I really fancy because A, it looks fabulous, but B, Valentin Hasklot and his teammate were on super strong form yesterday. Tio Nue kicked it off, and today we'll do the second part of the race. But as long as nothing goes wrong, they have to be in with a really good shout of victory. They looked really strong yesterday. Unflustered as they pulled away at the front of the field in the first half of the race, and then definitely flustered when things started to go wrong for poor Valentin Hasklot. So there's the second of the Allied Racing Porsches. It's also running in the Pro-Am class, so that's Bastian Buus. And then behind them on the next row, it's Kai van Berlo in the best of the SRT Mercedes and Joel Comathius in the Century Ticino Porsche. Lots of manufacturer variety. We've got a Mercedes on the front row, an Aston Martin, then a BMW and Porsche on the second row, a Chevrolet and a Porsche on the third row. But let's go down and hear from the man who's sitting on pole position, the man who already has a win to his name, Luc Ibanez.
The track temperature down here is pretty warm, the air temperature as well. How are you feeling ahead of this next race?
Well, we start in Q1. I'm really happy. And we go to the start, and we have to have the pass, the first corner, and this race. What happened to all?
Have a great race. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There was a driver who had his focus on what lies ahead. Obviously a formation lap and then coming around, and that short blast up to turn 1. Jörg Rapanga will start the Chevrolet today, then hand over to Tiemann Nabus, his fellow Dutch teammate. And will the rumbling Chevrolet be able to make progress? That is certainly at the sharp end of the grid again. Cars looking fantastic this year, all the way down the order. A couple of Caymans at the back end of the grid, the Orlando Sport cars, local cars. And then you've got the 2 Aquamarine Borusan Automotive Motorsport BMWs, the cars coming from Turkey. Really do look very crisp indeed. So, good news is we started the season 2 weeks ago at Imola with 17 cars. We're up to 19. More are promised and more will come. But the greatest thing is the fact we are racing again in this most difficult of years. And to look at cars out on the track in the sunshine at Misano, it certainly gets the blood coursing for motorsport fans. A packed day of racing here, yesterday, and an even more packed one today. So the grid is being cleared. Race start is at 9:45 local time, and we're getting swiftly around towards that time. So the grid is going to be cleared. We'll have the formation lap and let the thunder encroach. The drivers, at least they're enjoying the fact there is less temperature in the track at the start of the race than there was yesterday. That will give a little more sweetness to their tyres, or certainly make the life of the tyres last that little bit longer. Front left corner is the one that really takes a pounding at this clockwise circuit, and particularly when you start going through the kinks at turn 11 and 12, loads of loading on that front left as you get down to the end of the back straight. That's in the top right-hand corner of that previous image, the far straight. This is a really short straight. There's a slightly longer, past the pits, a slightly longer one on the other side of the wall, which is going between turns 6 and then the infield double left-hander at turn 8. But off we go on the formation lap. 19 cars coming out to play. Is it going to be Aston Martin's day today? It could have been yesterday. It wasn't. Maybe today they'll be lucky. Or maybe the NM Racing team with their new Mercedes will make it a double here at Misano, which will be a massive, massive fillip for the team. Particularly because when they went racing in the opening round, the NM Racing team came away with a retirement and then a 5th place. So they've already really stepped up by taking that maiden victory. So there is the front row. Luc Ibanez in his Mercedes and Valentin Haskell in his Aston Martin. Could have won yesterday, did not. Maybe he will today. Row number 2, Gabriele Piana, the man on massive form in his BMW for RN Vision STS. And Nikolai Muller who's got that marriage proposal out of the way yesterday. Joop Rapanga, the V8 Racing Chevrolet racer, and Bastian Boos for Allied Racing in the second of their Porsches. Then Kai van Berlo, the SRT Mercedes, and Joel Comathius, the green and black Porsche, in 8th place on the grid. Paolo Maloney, far better placements on the grid for the San Marinese team. He'll be looking for a lot more form today, and certainly starting further down the order is a difficult call here at Misano, so looking to work his way forward. Bob Herber was the star in the AM class. He's starting 13th today with Gael Castelli alongside him. Getting down towards the tail of the grid, Yagiz Gedik in one of the Otosan cars, and Kim Bogerts, another RN Vision STS BMW. That ought to work its way forward. Then Ibrahim Okyai knocked out of the race yesterday, hoping for better today. And then the 2 Auto Orlando Sport Porsches bringing up the rear with Dario Cerati at the back of the pack. All looking forward to a nice, clean race today. I just want to point out that it's not the most useful of teams pairing in number 75, because Dario Cerati, who's starting the car, is a mere stripling at 72, and his teammate Maurizio Fratti, 67. Good on ya. Drivers checking all the conditions, trying to get heat in the bits of the cars they want heat, not necessarily the cockpit, but with temperatures in the mid-30s yesterday, it was a very warm working environment. It's that little bit cooler this morning so far, but the temperature is going to be rising steeply. They all know that, but they'll get their racing out of the way in this next hour. Then enjoy, hopefully, a beautiful leisurely lunch watching the rest of the day's programme. But right now, looking at that front row, the NM Racing Mercedes, Luc Ibanez on pole position, round turn 14, there you go. We have 16 turns on the track at Imola, coming at you thick and fast. All focus on the start ahead. Turn 15, the Audi pace car, flashing its lights, will then peel off into the pits, and then around the tight left hand of the cars will go. They cannot put the hammer down until they see the lights on the starting gantry turn from red to green. It's Mercedes on the right-hand side of screen, and on the pit wall side, it's the Aston Martin. The lights are still red. They'll hold it. They've got a 19-car field to get onto the straight. They go green pretty quickly, and a very good start from pole position. Gabriele Piana's decided his BMW not quite narrow enough to go between the pole man and the Aston Martin, but the Aston Martin gets in front. It looks as though the Mercedes has got away better, but in fact, best of all is the man who made the wedding proposal yesterday, Nikolai Muller, up from 4th into 2nd, in behind a couple of cars, having to go a little wide, no contact. Very good, clean racing action at the front of the field. But for Valentin Haskell, desperate to get in front, has managed to do so. Luc Ibanez from pole position back to 3rd will not be happy with that. He's got to regain his focus. The second Aston Martin getting a little bit in the wars, a bit of body checking further down the order there, unfortunately, but that was Nicolas Gomar of AGS Events. Don't think any particular damage done, but between turn 4 and 5 it's very tight indeed, as it is down to turn number 8, the infield hairpin. Valentin Haskell diving in behind Nikolai Muller. Good start for Allied Racing. Aston Martin coming out of turn 8, already finding an extra car length, starting to pull clear. Now, big question, what can the pole starter do? Luc Ibanez, he's fallen from 1st to 2nd, back to 3rd. Can he pick his way forward? Can he go off? Or the Aston Martin start to escape at the head of the field? It's certainly doing that now. 2 car lengths clear, trying to break the toe as he goes through the kink at turn 11. And Gabriele Piana, who tried to go between the front 2 starters, running in 4th, having a little look. When they get down to about turn 13, 14, Piana may be about to make a move in the number 111 BMW. He's gone around the outside of Luc Ibanez. That was beyond brave. He got a toe down the back straight. By the time they got to turn 13, he'd already made the move around the outside after turn 12. You don't see many of those to the pound, I can tell you that. Piana is in irresistible form in GT4 racing, competing pretty much all around the globe. Every time you look at an entry list in a GT4 field, he seems to be there, and he seems to be at the very sharp end. End of the first lap, Valentin Haskell, his advantage 0.6 of a second over Nikolai Muller. I thought he might have pulled away a little bit more. Then comes the bunch, the midfield bunch. Toyota Supra number 66, fighting hard. That's Timothy Bure fighting really hard with Nikolai Muller, but the race leader looking fairly much under control at the head of the pack, but he's got to look out for for Gabriele Piana trying to make his way forward. He's already gained one position, 4th to 3rd. Now he's got an appetite for more. Nikolai Muller in the second of those Aston Martins, really being harried by Timothy Bure, and the driver who had a rotten first lap has fallen back behind them is Joel Comatius, down to 10th place. He's in that green and black and white Porsche. He's about to gain a position, but he's having a go into turn 8. Is that going to come to blows? Oh, maybe not quite. And the second of the Supra is almost about to divide the two. Wasn't slowed at all. So the Supra is looking really, really well balanced there and gaining positions. Gael Castelli in the all-white number 8, trying to pick his way forward. Up front, it's the same order as it was at the end of the last lap. Valentin Haskell and the Aston Martin. Nikolai Muller Madsen hanging on in second place, just 0.6 of a second down. Gabriele Piana still in 3rd, but Luc Ibanez has fallen now back to 4th place after that bold move, but he is not giving up. He's picking up the pace all over again. Maybe he can fight back. Quite confusing having several batches of cars led by an Aston Martin. The front of the race has got the Aston Martin and Valentin Haskell. His teammate is in 8th place, leading the AM class. That's Nikolai Muller, but he's got his own battles behind him, and the driver who lost out in the early part of the race is picking them off, and that's Joel Comatius. So he's certainly had a very good lap indeed in the Sentra Porsche Ticino, the green, white and black Cayman. He's got clear, and now it's the Supras who look as though they want to trade paint, and the person who's really lost out, he's lost 3 places in 2 corners, unfortunately, is Nikolai Muller, the second of the Aston Martins, really being harried. He's got a whole host of others who fancy having a crack at him right now. May well be that it's just a really good start from Muller that got him up the order against drivers who potentially are quicker, but right now he's, look, 2, 3, 4 abreast in behind him, and the is that Okiai who's been given a spin. Car 19 goes to rotation, and that is, or is it 12? It's Ibrahim Okiai again, knocked out of the race yesterday, given a spin at pretty much the same point on the circuit today, so rotten luck for the Turk there, but it's getting very, very busy in behind Nikolai Muller, very busy indeed. First to second, the gap between the leading Aston Martin and Valentin Haskell and Nikolai Muller Madsen went out from 0.6 of a second, just over a second, so a good lap for the race leader. And now on this lap, he just done the fastest first sector of anybody in the field. Let's take a look at the replay of what happens in traffic. Well, that's called being squeezed from both sides, and then, in fact, given a little hit up the tail by your own teammate. Not the fault of the teammate, but Ibrahim Okiai, same point in the circuit, he was knocked off yesterday, given a thump or 2. Doesn't look as though there's much damage, but when your car's turning in and it's given a thump, it is going to move offline. Gabriele Piana in second place. Lights are flashing on the RN Vision STS BMW all over the tail of Nikolai Muller Madsen. Nikolai said before the race his main ambition is to win the Pro-Am class, and he's leading that by a decent margin over Kai van Berlo. In fact, Kai van Berlo has suddenly had a really good run. He's got on the tail of Luc Ibanez, so the young Dutch racer. He's in the second of those 2 grey Mercedes that are in behind the 111 BMW. So take a look, yeah, Kai van Berlo at the back of that pack, 005 on his windscreen. So the Salazar Racing Team having a much better run today. Bastian Boost, the tail of that grouping. He is running in 7th overall, just behind the V8 Racing Camaro of Jo Rapanga. Let's take a look at the start all over again. It looks as though it was a really good getaway from pole position from the NM Racing Mercedes, but then not good enough. The Aston Martin got going. Gabriele Piana tried to go between the 2 of them, then realised his car was 2 metres wide. There was only 1.5 metres available, so he had to back out. And that allowed Nikolai Muller Madsen in the Allied Racing, the lead Allied Racing Porsche, to go around the outside into second place in turn 1, all over the tail of Valentin Haskell. But since then, all has been good, and the Aston Martin is pulling further clear. So that is certainly as expected, but very busy in behind. Back to fresh racing, and it's the Allied Racing Porsche still in second place, still being harried by Gabriele Piana in the BMW. And now the green flash on the nose of car number 30 means that Kai van Berlo is getting closer and closer to the pole starting Mercedes of Luc Ibanez. Battles within battles. Wherever you are in the field, you want to be the top representative of the make of car you're driving, and maybe Kai van Berlo will topple yesterday's winner, Luc Ibanez. Luc shared that victory with Javier Luveras, who started the race yesterday. And again, of course, you have the flip where the driver who starts race 1 goes second in race 2. But look how the lead has grown. It's gone out to 3 seconds now. That's because Muller Madsen in second place is being really harried very hard indeed by Piana, and that's allowing Valentin Haskell just to concentrate on his own pace, pulling ever further clear. 3 seconds. Last time round it was 1.4 seconds. That's been a really, really good lap for the driver in the lead of the race. And Yo Rapanga is picking up the pace. That metallic blue Chevrolet Camaro getting closer and closer to the tail of the pack. The next car in front of him is fellow Dutch racer Kai van Berlo. So the Chevrolet is joining the pack. And in behind we've got Bastian Boos in the second of the Allied Racing Porsche Caymans. Fabulous train of cars. Where's the next move coming from? I actually sense it's going to be Kai van Berlo making a move. He's having a little look at the Mercedes in front of him. Can he tuck it up the inside as they go out of turn 10? Can he get a better run onto the back straight? Of course, compromise your pace out of the corner and you're going to suffer the whole way down the straight. So sometimes a move at turn 10 can be very, very counterproductive. Nikolai Muller Madsen looking very unflappable at the head of that pack, but really it's bunching up behind. You can see how much closer the Camaro has got. Yo Rapanga, metallic blue, and closing in. A sense of move might come from Kai van Berlo, who's had a go out of turn 14. He's going to be hung out to dry at turn 15. Might even leave the door open for Yo Rapanga, but you know what? You've got to try these moves, and certainly the body language as he wanted to go up the inside didn't quite work. Now, they're all so tidy over the curbing at turn 16. Under stark and clear instructions not to exceed the track limits there, and suddenly Yuki Vanessa has got a little bit of breathing space, because instead of being attacked by Kai van Berlo in number 30, van Berlo himself is under attack, and I think Bastian Boos at the back of that train fancies his chances as well. And before long, I think the next car in the line, Joel Comatius, might be catching up with them as well, as this battle's certainly slowing each other down. 10 minutes almost running this 1 hour race, and it's how much for the good? 3.5 seconds for the good. Valentin Haskell leading the race from Nikolai Muller Madsen. Muller Madsen, busy day in the office. He can't catch the Aston Martin, but for now he can resist the RN Vision STS BMW. That's the number 111, the sister car, somewhat further down the order. Mark van der Aar has got that up to 11th place, but that's started a long way down towards the tail of this 19-car field. Very, very different lines onto the back straight. Gabriele Piana staying in tight, and Nikolai Muller Madsen, probably because he had to, running really quite wide, but managed to be unobstructed. But now it's right in the toe. The BMW surely is going to have a think about it down to turn 12. How late do you dare go onto the brakes? It's had an awkward kink at 12, then 13, and hard on the brakes for turn 14, which is much, much sharper. Piana seems to have the balance, whereas Nikolai Muller Madsen taking a wider line, but he's very, very smooth, so perhaps that's the natural racing line, and he's happy to stick on it. He's not defending, thinks he's just got enough of a gap to stay in the front in that battle for second place. First to second was 3.484 seconds last time around. What's it going to be this time? Doesn't look as though it's changed much. Wait for the clock to beat it. 4.4. Well, a second has been gained. Front end corner, making it front end angle, making it hard to gauge that. But Muller Madsen still very, very busy holding on to second place. He's top in Pro-Am. The next car in Pro-Am is in fifth. That's Kai van Berlo. The top car in the AM class is Nicola Gomar. We saw a lot of him in the first stage of the race, in the second of those two AGS events, Aston Martins, but he's still at the front of the class, but only by a quarter of a second. There he is, and the AM class right in behind, number 31, Bob Herbert, who Still super tight for the field, over second place, down to 6th place, 7th place now. Bastian Boos on the tail of that pack. I just sensed in the last lap or so that Nikolai Muller had just found a tiny bit of an advantage as Piana comes under attack. But then as soon as Ibanez started attacking, Piana's just found a 1/10 of a second. He's now pulling alongside on the start-finish straight. Did he get a better run out of turn 16? No, not really. He's just trying to put some ideas in the mind of Nikolai Muller-Madsen. Muller-Madsen delaying this train of cars, but has not put a wheel wrong. Kai van Berlo, the second of those Mercedes, the ones with the green flashes, still in 5th place, still second in the Prime class. That's the class led by Nikolai Muller-Madsen, up in 2nd place. Muller-Madsen now 6.7 seconds, nearly 6.8 seconds down on the race leader. So for the AGS events team, for Valentin Haas-Kloh in number 27 Aston Martin, everything is under control. But then again, it was yesterday until just after the driver change when the car suddenly went sick and they tumbled down the order. Really cruel. It was an event they should have won, but today it looks so they're going to put that right. But we're not yet. We're almost at the quarter distance mark in this 1 hour race. 45 minutes still to go. Valentin has just done the best lap of the race, 1 minute 41.9. Just not mucking around, but his advantage will surely be about 8 seconds by the end of this lap. And look how busy it is behind. Still Nikolai Muller-Madsen second for Allied Racing, but not bothering with the slipstream this time and going through into 2nd place in the right-hand side of the track from the driver's point of view. Gabriele Piana has been tidier coming out of turn 10, has seemed to have the traction that he goes looking for. And he's able to make that move, made it look very easy. Now, will he be able to pull away in 2nd place from Nikolai Muller-Madsen? Will Muller-Madsen then be jumped by those in behind? Will Luc Ibanez make a move on the Porsche as well? Kai van Berlo in the second of this Mercedes, also wanting to get in the mix, and in behind Joe Rapanga in the Chevrolet Camaro from V8 Racing. Bastian Boos hanging on, doesn't have quite the pace, but he's keeping that pack in sight. I think if they get unbottled, they would start to pull away. Certainly that was a great move from Gabriele Piana. You don't see many overtaking manoeuvres around turn 11. He managed to pull one off. Valentin Haas-Kloh still leading, 8.1 seconds to the good. In behind, they're all covered by small fractions, but as expected, having got into 2nd place, Gabriele Piana is now starting to show his natural speed. He's pulled clear, he's pulled out at least a second already. Luc Ibanez fancies an inside, not quite there. Turn 8 is always a possibility, but he's got more traction. And it looks though Luc Ibanez is going to be the next one to make a move. Valentin Haas-Kloh still leading the race. 8.1 seconds is his advantage. Gabriele Piana is the new driver in 2nd place. He took at least 6 laps trying to make that happen, has done the job. Hunted down Nikolai Muller-Madsen, who finally cracked, and now Muller-Madsen is coming under pressure from last night's winner, Luc Ibanez. And then round the outside, it's a Dutch battle, and Jo Rapanga's put the V8 Racing Camaro in front, or has he, of Kai van Berlo. Berlo is on the inside. He's held the inside. He's not sealing. Jo Rapanga's going to have to go to another state of Italy to get past there. That was side by side, but the Dutchman, Jo Rapanga, had seen that move work for Gabriele Piana. Didn't work for him, but you've got to try these things. And Piana is now pulling clear in 2nd place, streaking clear of Nikolai Muller-Madsen. Muller-Madsen really starting to struggle to hold back the Mercedes now that are attacking him. First to second, 8.1 seconds. The first 2 cars all but matching each other last time around within a few thousandths. And Van Berlo, having been attacked himself, has now done the attacking and has moved ahead of Luc Ibanez. Ibanez a bit untidy through turn 2, will be slow into turn 3. Maybe it's a chance for the Camaro in behind to gain. Not quite close enough to do so, but Kai van Berlo has struck. He has moved up to 4th. Just for reference, the gap between first and second stayed as it was, 8.1 seconds, but Gabriele Piana built a 1.8 advantage, 1.8 of a second advantage over Nikolai Muller-Madsen. You can see the nose, the bright blue Porsche, still in 3rd place, but he's got a new driver attacking him. No longer is it the Mercedes number 15 of Luc Ibanez. It's now the return of Kai van Berlo to start to try to make the moves. Up to turn 9 they go. There goes. Still the Porsche in 3rd place, but still, trying to have a little look up the inside. Can the Mercedes get a better entry to the back straight? The important thing is to be in the slipstream of the car in front, and Kai van Berlo has done precisely that, so much you could almost not see his car. It's got 0.4 on the windscreen as he tucks out from behind. He's also being looked at by Luc Ibanez in 5th place and Jo Rapanga in 6th. Bastian Buus still hanging on to the back of that pack. He's not been making moves. He's just been sitting in their slipstream trying to hang on. But the fact is, so many cars fighting means he gets a very, very good slipstream, and we do just that. Clock counting down. We get another six minutes from now, and the first of the drivers who wants to go make a pit stop can do so. Certainly Valentin Hasclo will have no interest in making a pit stop, but he's got that wonderful buffer, 8.7 seconds. So again, he's stretched another half-second advantage. And in behind is still those battling Mercedes fighting over 4th place. Now Kai van Berlo in front, Luc Ibanez back in 5th place. And just for reference, the Pro-Am class is still being led by Nikolai Muller Madsen, but Kai van Berlo, as you can see, is right behind him, 3rd and 4th in the race with that number 13 Mercedes, trying his best, not just to get on the overall podium, but to take the Pro-Am honours. Of course, it's a long race, 1 hour. Top car in the AM class, still Bob Herber. Well, it is Bob Herber. He managed to pass Nicola Gomar. That looked on the cards. And Herber's up to 11th place overall. He's a teammate of Kai van Berlo, so the Celislaw Racing team. 3 Mercedes, and one of them might be about to go up into 3rd place. Not quite there. Covered very well indeed, capably, by Nikolai Muller Madsen. So still, he leads the Pro-Am class in 3rd overall. But in behind, you just feel this order is far, far from settled, because look, the 2 Mercedes are now fighting. Luc Ibanez wants to get back into 4th. Where is the next move going to come from? We've already seen an audacious bid by Jo Rapanga at this very point on the circuit. It didn't work, and the Camaro driver got shoved to the outside, lost a bit of momentum, but he's now back on the tail of a Mercedes. In fact, as I said, that he actually lost a bit of ground at turn 13. And then at 14, the Camaro getting a little bit ragged. Maybe the tyres no longer as sweet as they once were, because Bastian Buus now starting to harry the Camaro. Nose to tail, 5 cars covered by next to nothing. Bookended by the Allied Racing Porsches. Nikolai Muller Madsen in 3rd place at the front of the queue, and in 7th place at the back of the pack, Bastian Buus, all covered by about 1 and a bit seconds. But our race leader, Valentin Hasclo, 9.1 seconds to the good at the front of the field. Unharried, unflappable, putting in consistently fast laps, stretching his advantage over Gabriele Piana. And now a move for 3rd place. The 2 Pro-Am challengers side by side. Body blow, and it's a chance for the car in the back of that pack to go past the 2 of them. Luc Ibanez, can he make it stick? Well, it's hard to stick when you're on the grass. This is on the infield straight, running down to turn 8. Surely he'll pull the deal off, but maybe Jo Rapanga will pick up a place or 2. Up on the curbs on the inside, is there going to be bodywork rubbing? Nikolai Muller Madsen has now finally lost 3rd place. Will he lose 4th, or has he given up 3rd place? He's on the inside for turn number 9. Well, that was really, really dogged performance. And now, have we got a puncture? Thought we had a front left puncture for Luc Ibanez. We may yet have that Mercedes slowing down, but somehow Nikolai Muller Madsen still in 3rd place. But I thought that Jo Rapanga would gain positions. He's moved up into 4th, and Kai van Berlo, it wasn't for trying. He did try, but he ended up going back a position, and clearly there is no puncture at all for Luc Ibanez. It was a trick of the eye up at turn 10, because the second of those Mercedes still going very well indeed. But unfortunately, he started in pole position. He's now back down in 6th overall. It's almost a shame the pit stops are almost upon us, because this is such an enticing battle. Nikolai Muller Madsen will need a lie down after this one. He's been pushed, harried. Gabriele Piana is the only driver who's got the better of him. Piana has pulled 4 seconds to the good up the track, but Muller Madsen has had to fight for every centimetre out on the circuit. The 2 Mercedes in behind have been having a really, really good scrap. They were fighting fleetingly over 4th place. Now, unfortunately for them, they're fighting over 5th, because the Camaro chose the moment as they battled to go through. Now, he's the one that's setting off after Nikolai Muller Madsen. And actually, after the sort out last time around, this is the biggest advantage Muller Madsen's had. Largest amount of breathing space. It's almost a whole second since the start of the race. But his turn will come to an end relatively soon. Pit window open in just over a minute and a half. He's got Jörg Wiebahn waiting to take over from him in the pit lane. by the time we get to pit lane being opened, it will be a 10-second advantage for the race-leading Aston Martin. Valentin Hasklow took the lead at the start of the race from second on the grid, and he's just paced it clear from there. Fastest lap of the race, no pressure. But a driver who really has just had pressure from the very, very outset. Made that good start, got fleetingly up into second place. Nikolai Muller-Madsen, now it's the turn of a Camaro that gets in so close, gives him a kiss, a bit of a rub as they go out of turn 14, and the Porsche goes sideways, but well controlled by Muller-Madsen. Jero Panger, well, he doesn't fancy coming in, can't come in yet, can come in next time around if he chooses. If you fall into the tail of this train, you'd certainly just be diving for the pits. You don't want to be delayed any longer. Corner the cars are coming up to right now. Third place, still in the hands of Nikolai Muller-Madsen, still under pressure. Is Jero Panger going to pull off a manoeuvre? But it's not a one-driver race, it's a two-driver race. So a heroic just before you make your driver change isn't necessarily the very best thing in the world if it doesn't come off. So who is going to make the first move into the pit entry? Pit entry just coming up on the right-hand side of the screens. No takers, third, fourth, fifth, and the NM Racing Mercedes. Javier Loveras will be taking it over from Luke Ibanez, having fallen down to sixth overall. Certainly that was a wise decision. The traffic was going to be in the way as Ibanez tried to fight back. Better to get the pit stop done in a relatively empty pit lane and give your teammate Javier Loveras more of a chance, and hopefully manage to come ahead of these cars once the pit stop's been completed. Nikolai Muller-Madsen just been driving fabulously in that Allied Racing Porsche Cayman. He's going to need a lie down after this. He's been pushed, probed, prodded, harried, and really held his end up. Bob Herbert coming in for SRT. He was the leading runner in the AM class, but he doesn't have a driver change. He does all the driving. Call it greedy, call it twice the fun. Now it's a matter of pride for Jero Panger. I want to make the move, but do I want to put the car off the circuit? He's already been off once trying to overtake, but probably, Joe, the answer is unless the car in front of Nikolai Muller-Madsen pulls off, it's not worth risking all, because you've still got more than half the race. Your teammate would like a go. Timo Naber waiting in the pit lane, probably doesn't dare look at the screens at the moment. First to second, a whisker under 10 seconds, 9.98 seconds, the advantage, the Aston Martin of Valentin Hasklow. Number 27 he's staying on for another lap. In fact, I think he'll stay on for probably about 3 more laps before handing over to his teammate. Gabriele Piana, is he going to do the same? Yep, he's not going to hand over to Baz Schuten just yet. So have we finally got 10 seconds of an advantage? It doesn't really matter if it's 10 seconds or 9 seconds. It's very, very comfortable for the race leader. 10.2 seconds, okay. So just going to prove with every lap that Aston Martin pulling ever further clear. First cars leaving the pit lane. That's one of the 2 CMR Toyota Supras. They have looked good, short on development really, because of course they made it over to Europe just as we got to the lockdown. But certainly reports of those who've driven the Supra, they are a very, very tidy chassis indeed, and I expect we will see them making gallops through the course of this season. Javier Loveras out in number 15 Mercedes. He's made the pit stop. All of his top rivals have stayed away from the pits as yet, but their time will come. The pit stop window ends when the clock at the top of the screen gets just down to 25 minutes left in this race. A countdown clock from the top of the hour to the very bottom. Nikolai Muller-Madsen just looks totally in control in third place. He has been under attack from the start. Only one driver has got past, and that was Gabriele Piana. Gabriele had started further ahead of him on the grid. In fact, their positions were reversed, but a very bold move around the outside into turn number 2 reaped dividends for the Allied Racing Charger, Nikolai Muller-Madsen, and he's resisted all but one driver since. Another lap about to be completed by Valentin Hasklow. And Piana, as expected, will continue for as long as he can before handing over to Baz Schuten. He's got nearly 6-second advantage over Nikolai Muller-Madsen, and the first of the real front runners coming in from fourth place in the field. That's Jero Panger. He's got tired of looking at the tail of that Allied Racing Porsche Nikolai Muller goes on to a further lap, but Rapanga peels into the pits. Garage side of the pit lane in the shade, certainly welcome as the temperatures start to skyrocket at Misano. Tiemann Nabur waiting just behind the timing graphic to clamber on board when his compatriot climbs out. The taller figure of Tiemann stands aside as Rapanga's seat insert is passed to the outgoing driver. Where will they slot in? Somewhere in the top 6, but will they come out in the 4th place they were running in before the round of pit stops? Certainly far from completed. The top 4 runners have stayed on the track. Valentin Hasclo, Gabriele Piana, Nikolai Muller-Madsen. Well, the top 3, in fact, the bulk of the others in behind have reported in the pits. 19 cars started the race. I think we still have the 19 running. Yes, no, we don't. We've lost Joel Comathius. Yes, he was starting to make progress in the 718 Cayman from Century Porsche Ticino, but that is parked up. The other 18 still going very well indeed. Ortolandi Sport started at the back of the grid, and Maurizio Fratti just taken over from his teammate Cerati, and he's bringing up the tail of the field. Wait for it, wait for it. Thumbs up for the outgoing Camaro driver, and he's had the second of the Allied Racing Porsches. I thought for a quick instant, of course, we'd had the sister car there as well. There is the sister car coming in this time around. Suddenly Allied Racing's area will be clear. The sister car would have pulled out, and Nikolai Muller-Madsen comes in from 3rd place, but the front 2 runners stay on for a further lap. 10.6 seconds to the good now, the race leader. Valentin Hasclo, driven absolutely beautifully, looks really, really well balanced at Aston Martin, looks so undramatic, which is a testament to the driver. Down to turn 8, double left-hander. This is a corner that's a lot of passing in the race, or more to the point, a lot of attempted passing. Tall figure of Jörg Wiebahn leads down to help undo the buckles and extract his teammates. Out gets Nikolai Muller-Madsen, in gets the GT4 veteran, he won't mind me calling him that. Been racing in GT4 since its inception, it seems. Not quite, but he's Jörg Wiebahn has been there, seen it, done it, got the titles in his pocket. But someone who may have a title in his pocket by the end of the season, it could be Gabriele Piana. There he is with the yellow flash up his aquamarine BMW, but it could well be Valentin Hasclo, because the AGS events Aston Martin, great pairing of drivers, Hasclo and Theo Nue, but the fact is they're sitting on a lead of a whisker under. It'll be 11 seconds or so by the time he reports the pits. He could do this lap and one more, but maybe he's going to be cautious. Yes, indeed he comes in with, at the end of 20 laps, 10 and a bit second advantage. Will Gabriele Piana also dive into the pits, or would he go try and squeak in one more lap? I expect he's going to dive for the pits, and so he does. Left of screen, BMW just entering the pit lane. And having moved up to 3rd place in the Toyota Supra, expect Gael Castelli to report to the pits. And unfortunately for him, after the pit stop, it has probably dropped him down to about 10th place, but that's by dint of almost all of his rivals ahead of him having pulled into the pit lane. Valentin out of the cockpit, out of the car. Gabriele Piana just now climbing out of the 111 BMW, and Baz Schuten climbing on board. Great position to have at pit exit, means you make a nice clean departure, but then again, if you're limping in with a battered car, it makes it a much longer pit lane from pit entry. So if your car's fine, garage by pit exit, very good, but if your car's broken, garage by pit in is the one you want to have. But anyhow, expect that RN Vision BMW to go out into 2nd place. Expect this Aston Martin number 27, now with Theo Nue on board, to be signalled away when in the lead of the race, back into the lead. Wait for it, wait for it. There is a minimum pit stop time. Transgress, cut away before that happens, and the time penalty ramifications don't bear thinking about. They are very sharp indeed, and certainly ruin. The second you gained, you lose far, far more than that. And the car that ought to slot back into 2nd place once all the pit stops are done will be that number 111 BMW. Pit window's still open. The last of the people who want to go to the pits could dive in now. But all the big names have made their stops. how they slot back together. It looks as though Allied Racing has held on to that third position, still in front of the Camaro. Third and fourth they were before the stops, third and fourth they are after the stops, and expect Baz Schouten in number 111 BMW to be in second, and the race lead still to be in the hands of Thierry Nue in the number 27 AGS Events Aston Martin. It was just under 10 seconds, in fact, before the pit stops, got over 10 seconds, just came under before the pit stops, but should be back at around the same mark as Thierry Nue. Just gets a feel for the performance of the car, what heats in the tyres, what grips in the tyres. As he goes out of turn 10, just coming out of turn 8 towards turn 9 is Baz Schouten. So that is a comfortable margin from first to second. What can Dutchman Schouten do? But the car that's been pushed around all race, literally, and then again another love tap, and Timon Nabur has managed to get through in a way that his teammate Europanger tried and failed to do. A little tap on the tail of Jörg Wiebahn, pushed him wide into turn 10, and Nabur up into third place. Well, I don't know, he could well pull away at this point, but you can see the damage, the front left corner. Let's take a look at a replay of the contact. Turn 9 becomes turn 10, but turn 10 was approached sideways by the number 21 Porsche. Could be no disputing the fact the contact came from the Camaro onto the tail of the Porsche. The Porsche lost out, lost momentum, lost position, and that gives hope to Javier Lloveras, who's in behind. He should now get onto the tail of that Allied Racing Porsche, and he's seen that it can be passed. So a replay that probably doesn't make great viewing for the V8 Racing team, but they have gained the position, and now lights flashing. NM Racing, the team that won last night's race, really fancy their chance to demote the Allied Racing car as well. And just for your reference, as they go on to lap number 21, just waiting 10 and a bit seconds, a gap between Thierry Nue and Baz Schouten. So sort of as you were before, plus a little bit. So it just seems the Aston Martin able to pull away even more in this second stint. So it's looking as though the win they should have taken yesterday will come their way today. Then the V8 Racing Camaro suddenly has slowed. Has he been told to give the position back? I don't know. But he's had to let the Allied Racing car that he dumped last time around go through, and Lloveras has fancied to go as well. So car 17 must give back one position. But unfortunately, with the Porsche being harried so closely, he's had to give back two. Lloveras maybe wasn't really aware of that situation, but just grabbed it with both hands. So he goes up to fourth, and Timon Nabur will be regretting having kissed the tail of the Porsche the previous time, because he's handed position back and he's had to shed not one but two positions. So let's just reflect on it all. So hardly surprising, it was a blow on the back of the 21 Porsche. No blame on Jörg Wiebahn, blame apportioned to Timon Nabur. So he was then given the penalty to give back one position. Unfortunately for him, as he then did so, he shed two. But at the moment he's now back into that fourth place, but he's got back ahead of Javier Lloveras, who must have thought, oh, thank goodness I've gained a position. Now he hasn't. Lost it all over again, and still being hung on to by the second of the Allied Racing Porsches, now in the hands of Jan Kasperlik. So these four cars have been so close in the mix, but the one that's sort of rather gone missing in the course of all of that is SRT Wim Spinoy. I don't think he's gone off the circuit, because his car, number 30, was in this battling group before the pit stops. Kai van Berlo handed over to Wim, and he's suddenly down in 18th place. I think he might have had an off. No, they've made a second pit stop, so maybe he's picked up a puncture. Oh well, anyhow, there is a problem that's taken that out of the mix. So all of Kai van Berlo's great work has been lost, unfortunately. Didn't see the incident. But the Camaro back ahead again. He's managed to pick off Jörg Wiebahn, who has a look down into turn number 8. This is a chance for Javier Lloveras in the number 15 Mercedes. Can he also go past the Porsche? Taking a look up to turn 9, not close enough. That's the point at which the Porsche was given a thump up the tail a lap ago. Is that bodywork a little bit looser? It's a little bit battered on the tail from the contact with the Camaro. In the AM class, I expect it to be all about Bob Herbert, but only by 1.3 seconds, because he's being hunted down by the second of the Aston Martins, now in the hands of Gilles Vannelet. You'll see the Aston Martin, flashing into the back of the picture. And suddenly Bob Herbert's going to have a very, very stern challenge. leading Pro-Am runner is still that aquamarine nosed Porsche. It might have lost the position to fall to 4th overall. Now this has been passed by Timo Nebur, but he's still leading the Pro-Am class. Next car in class is his teammate Jan Kasperlik in the second of the Allied Racing Porsches. And the meat in their sandwich is Javier Loveras. Looks as though he's gifted a position, managed to lose it and lose one more as well. So back down to 5th. But Jörg Wiebahn leading the Pro-Am class from his teammate Jan Kasperlik. The next car in class is Cem Boluk-Basi, 9th place overall, the better of the Borusan Automotive BMWs. That's the Pro-Am class. We feel Jörg Wiebahn is on borrowed time, certainly. Javier Loveras in the number 15 Mercedes is looking very, very busy, very impressive. As he looks, he's got 20 minutes left in this race to make a move. He's always very good around turn 8. Seems to pick a line that not every other car seems to have the option of taking. Very, very tidy. Not close enough to make a move into turn 9, but it's really about positioning down the back straight. You can try and go up the inside at turn 10. It's more important to come out right under the rear wing of the car in front of you and use the toe down the back straight. Piana did that early in the race, made it work, got into second place, passing this very car when it was driven by Moller Madsen. Now in the hands of Wiebahn, is being hunted all over again. But actually got better pace down the back straight and actually pulled clear. So Loveras will have to think of another way of trying to find an advantage. Just checking the gap, first to second, would it be about 11 seconds? Theo Nue to Baz Schuten, crosses the start-finish line. It's 13 seconds, and you know what? Who's travelling fastest on the circuit at the moment? Timo Nebur in 3rd place. There he goes, the blue Camaro, suddenly banged in the fastest first sector. Very good lap. He took almost a second out of the race leader on that lap. So he's going to come chasing after Baz Schuten. Timo Nebur, fellow Dutchman, he gained how much on him last lap? He gained 1.2 seconds on him, but he's 7 seconds to find. But at this pace, at 1:11, he's going to be hunted right down towards the end of the race. Then again, traffic can have a role to play, particularly here at Misano. You get those clusters of tight corners. If you've got a battling tail end group, they could really, really disrupt you. Still Bob Herber hanging on in the AM class. In fact, he stretched his advantage over Gilles Vannelet. Now the 1:11 BMW at second place. Replay just thought his handling might have been going off a little bit there. Baz Schuten running a little bit wide. Got to watch these things as the temperature rises. The tyres don't want to do what you want them in the way they did at the start of the stint, start of the race. Don't forget these drivers have to see the race through on the tyres that started. Baz Schuten is being hunted down. It was 7 seconds. It's less than that now. The Camaro is really on a charge. Timo Nebur looking super, super strong as he presses on. Whether he can catch the BMW is one thing, but then he's got to try and pass it. And that is, as we've seen in this race, far from an easy thing to do. But yeah, very short racing career, but very strong in the Dutch Supercar Challenge. He's taking that form to circuits new for him, and Misano is one he's getting under his belt with real style. 3rd place could end up in 2nd, and now there's a real challenge. The second of the Allied Racing Porsches is having a go at Javier Loveras. So having been delighted by their first win in the championship, and since changing over to Mercedes, the NM Racing team are not finding their form this morning at Misano, and instead of going forward, if anything, going backwards again. I thought I'd just check where the Toyota Supras had risen to. 7th and 8th is the answer there. Lapping at very good pace in the hands of Antoine Potti in 8th and Stéphane Lemeray in 7th. But they've got about a 6-second deficit to Jan Kasperlik, who we're seeing at the back of this battle. This is 4th, 5th and 6th. Then there's a gap, and we've got the change suddenly, just when I thought it was going the other way for Javier Loveras. He finds his way past first of the Allied Racing cars, and now the second of the Allied Racing cars is also possibly going to have a crack at Jörg Wiebahn, who's found his life very busy in the last half of a lap. So Wiebahn from 4th to 5th and maybe even to 6th, with Jan Kasperlik in the black-nosed example. Takes a look here, takes a look there. Certainly the body language is, I fancy taking that position. Canaleveras pull clear. He's got up into that 4th place. Had been bottled up. Looking relatively comfortable in 4th. I think he may well now be able to pull clear. And in fact, as the battle behind becomes very intense between the 2 Allied Racing teammates, this is his opportunity. Okay, all eyes on the sister car to the BMW we're looking at now. That's in the heat of the battle as Mark van der Aar picks his way up the order. But his teammate Bas Schouten has had his advantage halved. It's down to 3.6 seconds, second back to third. But Bob Herbert, another great run in the 31 AM leading class. Mercedes all over the back of Koen Burgarts. Koen in the Silver Cup class. So Bob fighting above his station, if you will. And in the background of the shot, the second car in the AM class, Gilles Vannelet, not quite able to live with the pace of the yellow and black SRT Mercedes. Jorg Wiebard's about to lose 5th position as well, up the inside into turn 8, came from, well, he was complicit. He decided, I'm not going to bother clashing, you are a teammate, and the door was left open in a gentlemanly fashion. And Jan Kasperlik deciding, well, I'm coming through, come what may. So that was wise on behalf of Wiebard. He could see, he could sense that Kasperlik was a little bit faster, no point having the 2 of them clashing. But with every lap, we have just under a quarter of an hour left in this race, just under 14 minutes left in the race. The gap between 1st and 2nd, between Theo Nue in the AGS events Aston Martin and Bas Schouten in the RN Vision STS BMW grows. 15 seconds last time around. It's going to be just waiting for the second car to cross the start-finish line, see what the advantage is. But the number 27 Aston Martin completely unharried. 16.7 seconds, but the important thing, it's only 2.5 seconds now between 2nd and 3rd. We're looking at one RN Vision STS BMW, but the other one is going to also have a car right on its tail within a lap, because certainly the big rumbling Camaro, Team Nabur, close to within 2.5 seconds. A few laps ago, it was 7 seconds. The gap between 2nd and 3rd, now it's to next to nothing. Koen Burgert still hanging on over the AM class leader. Bob Herbert right under his tail, having a look up the inside into turn 1. Oh, very tight line over the curving. Does make turning into 2 quite difficult, but somehow manages to do it. Haven't seen too much of the Toyotas. They had been running together, but Stefan Lemeray has suddenly gone into the pits for a second time, dropped out of 8th position, or out of 7th position. Antoine Potti is now the lead Toyota. There he is, he's got pressure. Cem Bolokbazi, the Turkish chaser and racer, spent a lot of the winter competing in esports. He's very, very good at it, member of the Red Bull esports team, and certainly match fresh. He gets right on the tail of the Supra. CMR enter the Supras, of course. CMR into the Bentleys in the GT World Challenge Europe. So very busy weekend for the team. 2 camps from the French crew. One running the Toyota Supras and the other, of course, running those big, fabulous Bentley Continentals in GT racing. Race leader, number 27, a dozen minutes remaining in the race. 17.7 seconds to good, cruising it. Again, as with the race starting, Valentin Haslund just looks super, super smooth everywhere. The car never looks loose, unwieldy, almost like a test run, such has been their advantage. But don't forget, they came away with 0 points in the first race yesterday, simply because the car suddenly stuttered to a halt, got fired up again, and didn't make it back to the pits. So whatever the problem was, it has been sorted overnight, and for both these drivers, this is validation of the team's entry of these cars. AGS events over many years have run many things, quite often running the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, but here we are, Nick Gomar, still, his car still in the mix. It's 2nd in the AM class, now with Gilles Vannelet at the wheel. But the fact the lead car is leading the race, oh well, who's in 2nd place? It's still Gabriele Piana. Sorry, I mean Bas Schouten took over from Gabriele Piana, and Timo Nabur, who's been very quick since taking over from Jo Rapanga, all over his tail. Look at how much time has been gained over those last handful of laps, chipping away, but to be taking at this stage of the race 1.5 seconds off a rival a rival with a top team just shows how good this run is from Team Nabur. Second place now, about to dive up the inside into third. Does it just so easily at turn 14. So good run down the back straight. Badshooten would try and fight back, but that BMW just doesn't seem to have the grunt off the curbing at turn 15 into the final corner of this lap. This is lap number 28. Tio Nue is already driving through the complex of turns 1 and 2 as the new second place car comes across the line. Team Nabur, what was his lap time? In fact, it was actually quicker than the race leader that time, including an overtaking manoeuvre. So very sweet on its tyres at this late stage in this 1 hour race. And for V8 Racing, I'll be very pleased. They came away with a 5th place last night and now running second. So you want progress? This is progress. Let's take a look at the replay. Tucked up the inside. No blocking at all from Badshooten. That was between 13 and 14. Job done very well indeed. Earlier in the race, his teammate Yorapanga tried the outside at that point, and that's where you end up with a lot of grandstand in front of you and a lot of runoff, but you're not on the track anymore. This time up the inside. And certainly at this stage in the race, the Camaro seems to be able to go where the driver wants to put it in a way that a lot of the rivals can't. And it's testament to the team getting the setup right, because obviously the Camaro is a larger car than the BMW. You'd expect the BMW to have the sweeter handling, and particularly the car run by our Envision STS, because they've really had a handle on these BMW M4s the past few seasons. Still competitive, but they've got new challengers. And in motor racing, we like new challengers. Keeps everyone on their toes. And for the AGS events team, they are the new challenger. They're not challenging, they are dominating at the moment. 18 seconds the good. Yes, there's been a battle in behind, but with every lap, they're just able to pull further and further clear. Tio Nue building on the work that his teammate Valentin Hasclo did in the first half of the race. Gave him an advantage of around 10, 11 seconds. And it's now out to, well, we're just going to have the confirmation, it'll be about 19 seconds, I think. No, just under 18 seconds. I exaggerate. Great rumble from that V8 engine in the Camaro, as you'd expect. Noise still such a visceral thing in motor racing. Just wait. Low revs, the rumble comes, here it comes, waiting to get the power down, waiting for the car to be straight. I must say that Camaro does look very well sorted. He can get the power down very early out of turn 5. A little left kink at turn 6, down this kinked infield straight. Rumble past opposite the pits, down into turn 8. And yes, Badshooten didn't put up a battle. He knew the pace he had at this late stage in the race was nothing to match the Camaros, so didn't resist too hard. And you can see why he didn't need to, because since then 1.7 seconds gained by Nabur on the last lap alone. So he's pulled clear in second place. Now your V-bar. This shows the progress that Antoine Potti has made. He was way down on this Porsche when he got into the car, but he's closed and closed. His lap times very impressive, and he could well move up into 6th place. Jörg Wiebahn not in free fall, but he's lost ground, and now he's got not just Potti in the Toyota, but Bolukbazi as well. And their pace over the past few laps should mean these last 7 minutes of the race are going to be very nervous indeed for Wiebahn. Whether he can hang on to his 6th position remains to be seen. He's still second in the Pro-Am class behind his teammate Jan Kasperik, so you can look at class positions as well, but the two Silver Crews behind looking very strong indeed. In fact, Bolukbazi is also in Pro-Am, I forgot. Certainly all Silver Crew. Antoine Potti in the 66 Supra, looking very strong indeed. The sister car not so fortunate, that had to make a second pit stop and drop down the order, otherwise he would have been there as well. But Timothy Bouret, good first stint, but Antoine Potti really going supremely well. And now looks as he's about to gain a position up the inside of Jörg Wiebahn. Not quite. Close enough to almost unsettle him. And the challenging Bolukbazi took the wider line there. Wasn't able to gain the position back. Wiebahn slow off the curbing at turn 6. The move has been made before they get to turn 8. Through the kink at turn 7, still the Porsche in front, but he's on the outside line, and Potti has gained the position. Up the inside he goes, and so too does Bolukbazi, or not. Had a little look up the inside, had to suddenly back out of it into turn 8, hard on the brakes, and had to brake even harder to make sure he didn't clatter into the side of Viban's Porsche. Bolokbazi running very wide in a lot of instances. Just don't think he's got the ability to tuck his car at the inside if he should choose to do so, but he's going to have to think how he can pass Viban. Actually, at this stage in the race, I'm just interested to see if Potti in the 66 Supra can catch the Pro-Am leader, which is Jan Kasperlik in the other Allied Racing Porsche. He's within 2 seconds on the start-finish line. It looks about the same here, but that's not the way to do it, running so wide at turn 13, off the track and beyond, as we call it. May well be race officials taking a look at that excess over track limits. But I must say, in this race, people have been very good indeed. Turn 15 turns to turn 16, and Bolokbazi very close to the tail of Jörg Viban. BMW still at the back of the pack. Would he be close enough to make a move into turn 1? Such a difficult thing. It's a great corner onto the final start, onto the start-finish straight, but such a short start-finish straight that you've got to be markedly faster out of the exit of turn 16 to be able to make a move down into that first corner. Bolokbazi still at the back of that pack. Jan Kasperlik at the front of it. Antoine Potti, the fastest of this quartet. Then Jörg Viban, then Bolokbazi. But the big difference is the Supra still had some handling left in it. I don't think the BMW has at the back of that pack. It's certainly Bolokbazi's having to work a fair bit harder. Doesn't have the option in lines. Has to generally stay on the racing line. Jörg Viban is hanging on. He's lost one of those positions to Antoine Potti. I think in the next 4 minutes he's going to lose one more, unfortunately, but he's putting up a valiant fight. One more time down the back straight. Jan Kasperlik leading that group. He's 5th overall, leading the Pro-Am class. Then Antoine Potti, he's in a silver lineup with his teammate Timothy Beret, but the second of the Pro-Am cars is also from Allied Racing. It's Jörg Viban, but he's under huge pressure from the third Pro-Am class car, which is Cem Bolokbazi. Has the BMW tucked up the inside into 13? No, hasn't managed it. Isn't close enough into 14. So Bolokbazi's going to have to think again. Viban lives on. And now Jan Kasperlik coming under pressure from the better handling Toyota Supra. Antoine Potti closing in, closing. Got to pick his moment. Possibly down into turn 8. Antoine, one of the many young superstars, only just turned 17 this year. There he is, duking it out in 6th place, but he fancies a crack at 5th. He's got 2.5 minutes left to do that. Certainly for the CMR team, they've been very impressed with him, and I must say I have too. Gap between first and second has come down a bit, but that doesn't really matter because it's 16.5 seconds for the race leader, Thierry Nue, in his Aston Martin. Timon Nebur going off after him. He's pulled way clear of bad shooting. 4.3 seconds for good now. And we got past the BMW into second place, but not going to catch the leader, but it's been a really strong run. Bolokbazi does finally get up into 7th place past Jörg Viban. I thought it was going to happen this on the lap, and it did. Into the final 2 minutes. And Javier Oliveras, well, he's 1.6 seconds down on bad shooting, so he sort of kept him honest, but I think the traffic didn't really work in the favour of the Mercedes early in the race. It started on pole position in the hands of Luc Ibanez, got monstered at the start by the Aston Martin, and then just got mugged, pulled back into the pack, and has been in it ever since. The pack has thinned down from 6 cars, just the 2 fighting over 3rd place, but the last few laps, look at the story. A second a lap as good as can be there for Oliveras as he's fighting his way in, closing right on the tail of bad shooting, can shoot and hang on. The Spanish racer, Oliveras, he's had to work out where his advantage is over shooting and where the deficit is, and all but unsettling it through the sweepers there, through the little chicane. Down the infield straight. Not the most textbook exit of the previous corner by bad shooting. He clattered the curb on the inside, ran wide on the exit. Up, have a little look up the inside into turn 8. This could be your last opportunity. Big question is whether Valentin has closed. Having handed over to Thierry Nue, he'll be looking at his car Starting one further lap, Nue 16 seconds clear of Nabur. But where is he around the circuit? I think he should be in a position to... They're going down onto the back straight. No, I think the checkered flag... Is this the last lap of the race? Just trying to work it out. Just trying to work out if Tio Nue can get onto one more lap. Here he comes. He is going to do one more lap because this is turn 16. The clock is going to have about 7 seconds left on it. This will be the start of the last lap. So close but no cigar. So that's great news for Javi Oliveras. It gives him one more lap to attack. The hour is up, but we're starting the final lap right now. Second place still in the hands of Timon Nabur. Third place is Bad Shooten, but Shooten is being hunted and harried. One more lap to go for this duo. Will the Mercedes that started on pole position at least get a top three finish? It's fourth at the moment. You almost can't see it, sitting so low in the slipstream behind the BMW. The move, the dive for third is going to come. Turn 3, not necessarily the place to try it. Or 4, or 5, or 6. Have a little look at 4. Unsettle the car in front of you, Baz Shooten. Stay cool and calm. Now it's about getting a great entry out of 5 on through 6. Oh, even Stevens between the pair of them. But actually, just look, the Mercedes has got more grip, able to stay on the track. Baz Shooten, his car going very wide indeed. Comes back on, stays in front as they get up towards turn 8. This is the last chance for the push up the inside, but for Oliveras decided not to do it. But look, he's got the traction, he's got the grip, and Shooten hanging on somehow around the outside at turn 8. Now, how much can he turn into turn 9? Enough to cover the inside line. That was important. Let's check the exit line. Looks so it's still going to be the BMW in third place. They go onto the back straight, but nobody's been able to challenge the number 27 Aston Martin, stroking it home. 2 corners to go through turn 15. Turn 16 beckons. Sharp left onto the start and finish straight. A very, very commanding win, comfortable win. Brilliant first stint from Valentin Haskell. Great finishing from Tio Nue. Yes, the gap to the car behind has come down. He didn't need to push. Such was the advantage that he was handed and the advantage he built. And as hard as Timon Nabur pushed, having got into second place, it was never going to be enough. All sideways moment there through turn 15 for the car in third place. But Baz Shooten has just managed to get it straight. Who's going to be quick out of the final corner? It's going to be surely the BMW. Only just enough. Push it over to the pit wall. No chance to go up the inside there from Oliveras. Not for want of trying. So 3 makes of cars. Aston Martin, Chevrolet, BMW in the top 3 positions. And a Mercedes in 4th. And a Porsche in 5th. Just by the short of noses from a Toyota in 6th. 6 makes of cars in the top 6 positions. That's fantastic. If you want to know who's going to win the AM class, look no further than Bob Herber. 1 corner to go. Took victory yesterday. He's going to do it all over again for the Salazar Racing team. So great job. And the fact he rose to 9th overall is very, very strong form indeed. Second car in that class will be the second of the Aston Martins, Gilles Vanelay. But the winner is the first of the Aston Martins. Number 27, started by Valentin Haskell. Took the lead around the outside into the first corner. Handed a big lead to Tio Nue, who also showed great form and style. He stretched the advantage and then in the final laps was able to just back off a little bit and cruise to the finish. Heartbreak for them yesterday when their car broke when leading, but today the only thing it broke was the tow to all the cars behind and cruised it home. A very, very commanding performance. Door open on the car, Tio getting some welcome extra air into the cockpit. Certainly hot conditions. They were hotter yesterday afternoon, but temperature would have built up in that Vantage. But right now, it's that wonderful moment for a driver when, and relax are the 2 words that come into your mind. Just remember the few things you have to do as you guide the car back. But let's take a look at the results. Tio Nue bringing it home, sharing with Valentin close. Eventually 16 seconds to the good of the charging Camaro, Timon Nabur. Great second stint in that car. Baz Shooten, Gabriele Piana coming home with third place. They've had 2 wins, a second and a third, so they're leading the championship. And then a big challenge right at the end. Not quite enough to move Javi Oliveras in the NM Racing Mercedes up to third, but fourth, another good result for last night's winners. And then Jan Kasperlik and Bastian Boos, great job to win the Pro-Am class in 5th overall, and 9th place is the position of the leading AM runner, Bob Herber, who did it all on his own. Great racing here at Misano, the GT4 European Series. 2 rounds in Italy in the space of 3 weekends, and it's been a really good start to the season in a championship that will continue to grow and grow as more people manage to get around the pandemic and come out racing. But for the drivers who spend the winter trying to plan their programs, this is justification of all the work they've put in. But really, the biggest applaud to AGS Events and Aston Martin. They put that right to the top of the charts, and by some enormous margin. But at the end of the race, we lost just 2 of the runners. Wim Spinoy took over from Kai van Berlo and had to park the SRT Mercedes very early in his stint. And even Giacomo didn't get to drive. Joel Mathias retired in the opening half of the race. But for the GT4 European Series, that's job done here at Misano. Packed day of racing ahead. And I'm sure as they pack up, they'll take the time to watch everything else. But GT4 European Series really now into its stride for 2020. A delayed start to the season, as with all other racing championships, but they've got going, and already a few cars coming into the paddock. The second car to the finish, Timo Nibor has brought his Camaro in. Here comes the race leader, the race winner, Tio Nue. Disappointed yesterday, led the first half of the race, handed over to the driver who's coming to approach him, Valentin Haas-Claude. And then unfortunately the car retired yesterday. It certainly didn't retire today, and you can hear the shouting between them. Job well done. That element of pride as well. Not only is this a car that just came good here, it's going to be good all season, you have to feel, such was its form. Of the AGS events team, I don't know what Tio Nue was doing there. I think he was covering his eyes or he was looking around to see where the opposition had gone. But that was a dominant win. So just to reiterate, you can see middle of the screen on the top right effectively is Tio Nue, Aston Martin. The car that finished second is down close to us. It's the blue Camaro, and the car that finished third, Baz Schuten, just be climbing out of that. Third place, having shared with Gabriele Piana, and really had to fight very hard indeed. But I must say the pace in the second half of the race of the Camaro was very impressive. Made its way past the number 111 BMW, which has been the class car in the field. But I must say there is a new standard set here, and that's by the AGS Events Aston Martin. Other teams will be scratching their heads thinking, what can we do when we go out to play next? And the next event is in the first weekend of September at the Nürburgring. Very different circuit, possibly very different weather conditions. But let's go down to the winning crew. We've got Tio Nue and Valentin Haas-Claude down in the paddock with Gemma.
Boys, a fantastic result. You commanded the race. Valentin, right from the start, you pulled out a fantastic lead, a great margin, and you just owned the whole thing.
Yeah, thank you very much. We had to do a good start because we didn't want to be in the fight. We knew we had a good car after yesterday's race, and today is like a redemption day, I would say. And we just have to pull away and to manage the gap then. And Theo did a great job to finish the race. And yeah, we had a fantastic car.
Yeah, the battle certainly was well and truly behind you, and you just kept clear of everything and were able to keep that pace.
Yeah, honestly, it was like, I mean, it was so easy in the car. The car was amazing. Just, I don't have anything to say. The car was amazing.
That was not so easy, but we had a good car.
Well done, fantastic result. Well done, boys.
Thank you very much.
And if we could just stick down here into the park filming area and come over this way, I do believe we have our Pro-Am winners, Jan Kaspelik and Bastian Boos. Boys, can we just grab you for a quick interview for the TV now? Jan, right at the end of that race there, you look very hot. That was tough, but come on, can we just pull your mask up, please? Jan, you know, that you battled with all of the silver drivers and drove an incredible race.
And the problem was already when I was jumping the car, Bastian told me that the car today is really difficult to drive. And after my second lap, I already noticed that the rear is going every lap worse and worse. So I had to manage the tires, try to overtake some cars, try to pull a gap. That was really difficult now. I think it's one of the toughest races I had now in GT4 because everything under tactic, controlling and so on, difficult.
It's certainly helpful when you can hand over to your teammate Bastian and say, you know, this is how the car's feeling, get out there and give him a bit of support.
Yeah, as Jan said, the car was very difficult to drive, but I was catching up to the guys in front and I tried to stay with the group, so when I hand over the car to Jan, he could try to fight with the guys.
Fantastic result. Well done, boys.
Thank you. See you later.
Thanks,
So
boys.
good to catch up with the drivers, and just to emphasise, Bastian Boos, 17 years old, and Tio Nue in the winning combination, 18. We've got young guns coming up to play, and it really has been extraordinary changing of the guard, but everyone must be looking up at Aston Martin and AGS Events and thinking, oh, the world is changing, which is how we like it in motor racing. But for AGS Events, I think that was a very solid run here super impressive and such a well-balanced pairing. So waiting for the podium ceremonies to commence. A lot of hot individuals down there. And Gabriele Piana and Baz Schuten, third place overall. Top 4 runners all in the silver class, as you'd expect, but certainly the Pro-Am runners got up among them in that race. I think all of these individuals will have a lot of silverware coming their way. Timo Nabur and Joop Rapanga take the second place trophies, and certainly the pace of the car in that second stint, very impressive for Joop Rapanga. He did lots of battling in the first stint of the race, but once Timo Nabur got past Baz Schuten and just rocketed clear, he showed that that Camaro has got legs on it. Now we're waiting for the race winners, Thio Nue and Valentin Hasclo. They take the main trophies up for the photos. 2020 style podium ceremonies, always down in the paddock, no longer having to go up steps to get to a podium, and only one pair of drivers at a time for social distancing reasons. So the Marseillaise rings out for the French entrant, AGS events. So victory for them, and how, I think you'd say. What a remarkable run for the Aston Martin team. And looking at the crews in the Pro-Am classes. Jörg Wiban ending up third in the Pro-Am classing, entry number 21, that's sharing his Allied Racing car with Nikolai Muller Madsen, driver who proposed to his girlfriend yesterday, and she said yes during the course of the race. A good run at the end. Sem Bullock-Bazi going up into second place, sharing with Yagiz Gedik, the 2 Turkish drivers in their BMW, but victory in the Pro-Am class went to the other Allied Racing Porsche crew of Jan Kasperlik and young Bastian Boos, the 17-year-old Dutchman. Sorry, Dane. So the German anthem for Allied Racing, and that leaves us with the AM podium to follow. And Bob Herber will have a massive smile on his face. It's been a really good weekend. Victory in the class for him yesterday in 8th overall, and victory in the class in 9th overall today. But third place in the AM class went to the number 71 crew, the Italian crew of W&D Racing, Paolo Meloni and Stefano Valli, third place in their BMW. Paolo's been racing these BMWs for a very long time, and look, you can't see his mouth, but you can see the smile in his eyes, I think. Second place in the AM class went the way of Nicolas Gomar of AGS Events and his Aston Martin teammate Gilles Vanelay. Just going up with their trophies. Suitable team masks. So a big pride for the team, taking the overall event win and second place in the AM class. But the winner in the AM class, second day running, Bob Herber of the Celislao Racing team. That's his number 31 Mercedes in the middle of the image there, the yellow and black car. Did it all on his own, doesn't need a teammate. So the podium ceremonies are behind us. Let's take a look at the highlights. It was a very tight start, but for Yuki Ibanez, couldn't get it quite away as he wanted from pole position. From the outside of the front row, Valentin Hasclo took the lead. Then there was contact in the middle order. One of the two Supras clattering into the Porsche from the Ticino team, and unfortunately that eventually retired. And the two Supras getting very, very close indeed. And unfortunately there was a clatter at the back, and it spun Ibrahim Okyai at the very same corner he was spun out of the race yesterday. Kai van Berlo, the number 30 Mercedes, having a real push. Gabriele Piana all over the tail of the Allied Racing Porsche, and eventually got through, but you can see the traffic jam in behind. Well, who's on the track? Neither of those two drivers, and certainly got very, very busy indeed. At the other side of the track, the NM Racing Mercedes pushed onto the grass as well. That's how tight it was in this battle for third position. There were winners and there were losers. The number 17 Camaro is starting to make moves in the hands of Joop Rapanga. Then you came to the pit stops and it was super busy, but it didn't have to be busy for the AGS events team. They could pick their moment. Hasclo had an advantage of 10-11 seconds over Gabriele Piana's number 111 BMW. By the time Theo Nue took over in the lead Aston Martin, the action was all behind him, and you could see Timon Nabor getting a little bit busy there. He had to hand the place back, having hit Jörg Wiebahn's Allied Racing Porsche. He lost 2 places when he handed position back, but soon that car was really flying and it moved its way up the order. Here it is, moving into second place, going past Baz Schuten. It then pulled away, started to catch the leader, but wasn't able to get close enough. And by the end, the advantage was 16 seconds for the race-winning Aston Martin. Such was its advantage. There's the checkered flag. Job done, and job done in considerable style. At the very end of the race, the battle for third place raged to the finish, and Baz Schuten just somehow prevailed over Javier Oliveras. A great second race at Misano. Victory to AGS Events and to Aston Martin. Will it be the first of many?